Hi guys, today's topic about the adenode and adenodectomy. In 1924, Santorini described the lymph node aggregate as a Luska's tonsil. It is also called third tonsil or nasopharyngeal tonsil. 1870, Williams Mayer coined the term adenode. So, adenode term coined by the Williams Mayer. The adenode forms part of golden ring of lymph node tissue at the portal of URT, upper respiratory tract. In early childhood, this is the first site of immunological contact for inhaled antigens. Development of adenoids. In 4 to 6 weeks, lymph node tissue in submucosal plane developed by two primordia between the cranium and stomatium. By 12 week, it's clearly seen in the nasopharynx. Lymph node tissue of adenode may extend to fossa of Roger-Muller and Eustachian tube orifice, and this tubal tonsil is called Gerlach's tonsil. So whatever tonsil in the Eustachian tube area or Eustachian orifice area is called Gerlach's tonsil. It MCQ can be asked in this Gerlach. What is Gerlach's tonsil? It is any tonsil which obstructing the Eustachian tube orifice in medial end of the Eustachian tube is called Gerlach's tonsil. Now talk about adenode arterial supply. It's mainly by the facial artery, branches of facial artery and maxillary artery, and venous drainage by the facial vein and internal jugular vein. Lymphatic drainage mainly retropharyngeal lymph nodes or upper deep cervical nodes, and nerve supply by the pharyngeal plexus, its 9th and 10th cranial nerve. If you see the MRI of 4-month child, only 18% children having adenode. But at 5 months of MRI is accurate assessment of the adenode size. So 100% children having adenode at the age of 5 months. If you see this chart, the growth of the tonsil and the growth of the child, the maximum size of the tonsil children have at the 2 year of age, that almost take up to 14 year of age, and after 14 years there is plateau. So largest size of the tonsil is about 7 year of the age. What is the ideal age of adenodectomy? Ideal age would be 7 year, but after 4 year you can do any time adenodectomy, but ideal age is 7 year of age. After 14 years there is rapid regression of the tonsil. If you see, there is plateau between the 2 to 14 year of age, and after 15 years there is rapid regression of tonsillar size. But nowadays, as allergy in food habit, there is, we can see, up to 25 year of age there is large tonsil, and we are doing some children having adenode at the 25 year of age, we are removing at the 25 year if having any obstructive or rhinitis symptoms. Clinically, symptoms are more common in younger age group due to the relatively small volume of nasopharynx and recurrent episode of URTI. The adenode produces B cell, giving rise to IgG and IgA plasma cells. Adenodes appear to be an important side of development of immunological memory in younger children less than 4 years of age. So adenectomy should be done after 4 years of age. So immunological role is up to the 4 year. After 4 years of age, adenotonsillectomy does not cause any immunodeficiency. So it means the minimum age of adenode resection is about 4 years of age. So if you plan to adenode resection, it should be done after 4 years of age ideally, because before that having immunological role or it is not a proper size, so it will not reoccur after 4 years of age. If you are doing before that, there are chances of immunological compromise and chances of recurrence. So to prevent this, its ideal age is 4 years. Ideally is 7 year, but you can do after 4 year of age. There is no decrease in IgE level after adenode resection. Now, pathological effect of adenode enlargement. First effect is most commonly is you've seen otitis media with effusion. The size of adenode not the only factor that leading to recurrent episode of the middle ear infection. It is the bacterial load and biofilm also leading to the otitis media with effusion. So adenectomy and grommet insertion it is evidence based, we can remove the if patient come with symptoms. Recurrent acute otitis media, no role of adenectomy in this recurrent. We have to give only prophylactic antibiotic because it's not going to resolve, because recurrent acute otitis media is not due to the adenode enlargement. Upper airway obstruction in sleep disorder breathing. Airway obstruction due to anatomical hypertrophy produce the partial pressure O2 decrease and increase of the partial pressure of the CO2. So most of the study shows after removing adenode there is return to normal the partial pressure O2 and partial pressure of CO2 in most of the children. Rhinosinusitis. It is reservoir for the biofilms and reservoir of the pathogens. That's why adenodectomy is helpful in the rhinosinusitis, recurrent episode of rhinosinusitis. Olfaction. Adenode hypertrophy may reduce olfaction, particularly retronasal smell and taste, which improve following adenodectomy or adenode resection. So olfaction also if adenode hypertrophy is there, sometime affected by the adenode enlargement. Now neoplasia. A typical lymphadenopathy or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, we have seen a lot of patients coming with neck lymphadenopathy with adenode enlargement. So we can suspect the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in these type of the cases. Now management of the adenode hyperplasia or hypertrophy. Clinical history is very important. First, for recurrent episode, we should ask about recurrent episode in sleep disturbances. We should ask about family atopy, about allergy. We should ask about the family history of unusual bleeding, bruising, rule out bone disease or other bleeding disorder to operate the patient. In children with Down syndrome, consider potential atlantoaxial instability or cardiac abnormality. Clinical examination, you can see skin crease of supratrope region in rhinitis cases. X-ray neck lateral view and nasal endoscopy are gold standard. We should consider as the MRI provide extremely accurate volumetric assessment of the adenode size, but it's not cost effective. That's why we are not routinely doing it. If we are any suspicious of non-Hodgkin, we should proceed to the MRI. Nasal endoscopy during surgery is gold standard. If there is grading of adenode enlargement according to Kleeman and McMurray, the clinical grading, if adenode size is less than 1/3 of the choana filling, is grade 1, between 1/3 to 2/3 grade 2, grade 3 is 2/3 to near completely obstructing the posterior choana, and grade 4 is completely choanal obstruction. So this is classification given by Clemens and McMurray. Where the indication of adenectomy is OME rather than obstruction, the size of adenode is not relevant. So removal of reservoir and biofilm is compulsory in these adenodes because they lead through the medial Eustachian tube orifice. Now talk about adenectomy. Adenodectomy with or without tonsillectomy or insertion of ventilation tube is one of the most common surgical procedure in children. Blind curettage adenectomy, some people are routinely doing it, but it's not ideal. We have a direct vision techniques. Now endoscopic coagulation or microdebrider is treatment of choice of the most of the adenode removal because we are removing in the direct under vision. Complication of adenectomy is bleeding. It may be reactionary or secondary bleeding. mostly secondary bleeding by the aberrant ascending pharyngeal artery. We can handle intra or post of. Why? Just we have to routine the clotting and coagulation profile again. Dental trauma may be because of position or instrumentation. Retain sub may be there. Nasopharyngeal blood clot sometime if you are not post-operating or during operation we should do the suction properly of the nose. That's why there is no coronary clots. What is coronary clot? Clot is it is a clot which sometimes post-operatively nasopharyngeal blood clot following the larynx leading to obstruction of the breathing. It's called coronary clot. Infection is uncommon. If infection occur, it may lead to retropharyngeal or mediastinal abscess or cervical spine injury. If non-traumatic atlantoaxial subluxation of atlantoaxial joint is called Grishel syndrome. It's very rare or it is recognized as a risk associated with adenodectomy and tonsillectomy. You can suspect post-operatively if there is torticollis. Diathermy is leading cause of this Grishel syndrome. Children with Down syndrome are meticulously handled because of the risk of Grishel syndrome. Velopharyngeal insufficiency is rare or it's suspected hypernasal speech or nasal regurgitation of fluids. Bifid uvula can be marker of submucous cleft palate in 60% of the cases. In these type of cases, perform partial adenoid resection, clearing choanal airway and superior nasopharyngeal part, leaving the adenoid intact at the velopharyngeal junction. Long-term velopharyngeal insufficiency is very rare. Regrowth of the adenoid sometimes occur if we are doing blind technique or doing before 4 years of age. And death is very rare because of mainly anesthetic medication or anesthesia drug induced mainly or coronary clots, but that's very rare. So adenoid is not a small surgery. It is very important to know each and every about the adenoid surgery. If common in the female about 60%, male is about 40%. If you see tympanic membrane finding or having this adenoid facies present about 40% of cases only. So it's not clinically you see each and every patient having clinical. You see this X-ray classically showing adenoid hyperplasia, and this MRI is showing the size of the adenoid. You see this MRI and adenoid you can see properly in MRI. There is volumetric assessment. This is adenectomy by coagulation method. You can remove completely from the nasopharynx by the coagulation. I am doing it with coagulation only. That is very helpful. It's not going to be recur after properly done after 4 years of age. So this is all about adenoid resection or adenectomy. So guys, thank you so much. This is adenoid follicles in the HP finding. So this is all about adenectomy. Thank you so much.